from West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
Support for the following is provided by the West Virginia Department of Education and West Virginia Public Broadcasting. Hey! Hey everyone, it's Education Station!
Hi, and welcome back to Education Station. I'm your host, Alex Milanese. Education Station is a show where we invite teachers from all across West Virginia to submit videos of themselves teaching their favorite lessons. In today's episode, we've got 3 high-energy lessons that you're going to love. So our first stop today is with Mr. Shu, who has a fun way to learn about the human heart. Let's check it out.
Hey everybody, my name is Mr. Shu. I am the physical education teacher at Suncrest Elementary School in Morgantown, West Virginia. I'm so glad that you are here joining me for this lesson, where we will combine some physical education with some math and even science, all at the same time. I'm excited. Now, our lesson today is focusing on heart rate. This lesson can be for kindergarten all the way through 12th grade. It is important for all of us, even adults. You can get involved as well. So, first off, what is heart rate? Does anyone know what heart rate is? Heart rate is the amount of times our heart beats every minute. And before we get started, does anyone know why it is even important to know what our heart rate is? Who cares? Well, there are a few reasons, and I'll go over a couple right now. For one, knowing your heart rate at rest, meaning when you're just standing or sitting, not moving much, can be a good indication of your overall health. In general, the lower the better. Now, a second way it's really important is when you are moving, if you can get your heart rate during your activity or right after, you can get an idea of how hard you are working. And that's what we're going to test today in our little heart rate experiment. So here's how it's going to work. We are going to take our resting heart rate first, then we're going to do 3 exercises, and after each one, for 30 seconds, we are going to take our heart rate. Now, after we take all of our heart rates, we're going to see which exercise we had the highest heart rate for. So here's what you need. You need to have your own space to be able to do some exercise. It doesn't have to be super big like the gym, but just some area where you can do some movement. And you need a paper and pencil. I want you to write 1, 2, 3, and 4 on that paper. Next to number 1, I want you to write resting, just like I do here. And next to 2, 3, and 4, you will write the exercises that you want to do for this experiment. You can use mine, or you can use your own. Maybe you want to do push-ups. Maybe you want to do lunges. That is up to you. All right, now that you've written them down, let's start with our resting heart rate. And there are 3 ways to take this.
The first way is to take your 2 fingers and place them on your neck, finding your carotid artery. The second way is to place those 2 fingers on your wrist and find your radial pulse. And the third way is to place your hand or 2 fingers on your heart to find your heartbeat.
So pick whichever way works best for you, and we are going to count our heartbeats for 15 seconds. Okay, and I will keep that time for you. So find your best way to take your heartbeat, and let's start counting now. Go. And stop. Take that number and write it down on your sheet. Okay, you got your resting heart rate. If you're familiar with multiplication, I want you to take it a step further and multiply that number by 4 so you get your heart rate per minute, since we only took our resting heart rate for 15 seconds. So if you can do the multiplication, do that now. My resting heart rate is 64 beats per minute. And now it's time for the experiment. If you are in middle or high school, I want you to form a hypothesis about our experiment. For me, my hypothesis is that the burpee exercise will produce the largest heart rate for myself. We'll see. So, get ready for your first exercise. Mine is jumping jacks. We'll be doing it for 30 seconds and then taking our heart rate for 15 seconds right after. On your mark, get set, go! And stop. Let's take our heart rates. Ready, set, go. And stop. And let's get ready for our second exercise. We'll just take a few seconds to catch our breath because we don't want the previous exercise affecting the next one. So, make sure you know your second exercise. Make sure you have room. My second one is going to be squats. When you do a squat, you want to put your arms out or above you, just not on your legs. And you want to sit in the chair, heels down, and stand back up. All right, we'll get started in 10 seconds. Exercise number 2. Here we go. And start. And stop. Find your pulse. Let's check our heart rates. Ready, go. And stop. Okay, 2 down, 1 to go. Interesting how my jumping jacks so far have been the highest heart rate, but I still got my burpees to go. If you are also doing burpees, I will show you how to do them while you rest. You are going to squat down, hands to the floor, jump out, jump back, and jump. If you want to make it a little more challenging, do a push-up at the bottom. Just like that, okay? We will start in about 10 seconds. Take your last couple deep breaths. Exercise number 3, 2, 1, here we go. And stop. Woo! Let's check our heart rates and go. and stop. As you can see, with 156 beats per minute, the burpee had by far the largest effect on my heart rate. What about you? Why do you think that exercise had such a great effect on your heart rate versus the other two exercises? Thank you so much for joining me today. Again, my name is Mr. Shu. Don't forget to always be active, stay healthy, and I'll see you later.
Thanks, Mr. Shu. Now, if you enjoy the great outdoors, well, you're going to love our next segment submitted by Mr. Lewis. So, get your hiking shoes ready and let's go.
Hi, and welcome back to Hiking in History. Today we're back in the New River Gorge, which is one of my favorite places to hike. We're at the ghost town of Kay Moor. The Kay Moor Miners Trail will take us from Kay Moor Top to Kay Moor Bottom. Kay Moor Top is where the miners lived, while Kay Moor Bottom is where the mining operation took place. It's about 4 miles for the whole hike, so we better get started. Are you wondering how the miners and the coal got from the top to the bottom? Well, Kay Moor used a system called a haulage. A haulage was carts on cables that were carried up and down the 1,000 feet of the gorge walls. I'm currently standing on the haulage house where it was all controlled. The haulage was in operation until 1962. Before we leave Kay Moor Top, I want to give you a little bit more of the history. So Kay Moor was a coal camp and was in operation from 1899 to 1962. As I said before, Kay Moor Top was where most of the houses were, but it was also where most of the business was conducted. The company store used to stand right behind me in what is now just woods. That's where the miners' families would have got everything they needed. Most of what we can still see today of Kay Moor is below us at the mine face and Kay Moor Bottom. Kay Moor Bottom suffered a devastating fire in 1960, which destroyed most of the buildings there. This also played a huge role in the permanent closure of the mine in 1962. Now, the National Park Service owns the entire area. The Kay Moor mine was owned by the Moor Coal Company. The Kay Moor No. 1 mine, which is the one we're about to go visit, was the largest and most productive in the New River coal field. The miners produced over 17 million tons of coal from this one mine during its operation. We are now at the level of the mine face, and I'm standing at the dynamite house, where the explosives were held. To continue with the history, Kay Moor was named after an employee named James Kay, who was in charge of developing the mine and building the town. At its peak, there were 136 houses here, as well as a pool hall, a ball field, and segregated schools on each level. Interestingly, there were no saloons or churches at Kay Moor. one was a drift mine. It mined famous New River smokeless coal from the Soul Seam. It was a room and pillar mine, where miners hand-picked the coal and it was brought out in mule-drawn carts such as this. Later, locomotives were brought in to haul the coal back to the surface. To my left is the remains of the ventilation shaft, and to my right is the electrical building. The type of coal mined here was a very high-grade bituminous coal. An interesting fact is that the mine shaft extended 5 miles underground. I'm now sitting on one of the Kay Moor coke ovens. There were originally 120 beehive coke ovens here at Kay Moor, but their number was increased to 202 at the beginning of World War I to help support the war effort. After the war, the ovens remained open to fuel the Industrial Revolution in America. The last one flamed out in the 1930s, and the coking operation ceased production. So what's the difference between the coal that was mined here and the coke that was produced here? Well, coal was a hard, black, flammable rock that was formed from plants millions of years ago in the Carboniferous period. It is a fossil fuel and can be burned for energy and heat. One type of coal, bituminous coal, like the kind found here in Kay Moor, is especially high in carbon and low in sulfur and phosphorus, which makes it a good coal to make coke. Coke is a porous gray rock that is produced in coke ovens by heating bituminous coal at over 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit for up to 3 days. The oven is designed to keep air out and not let it be a part of the cooking process. The coal softens and liquefies, burning out all of its impurities and leaving almost pure carbon. It then rehardens into the porous lump of what we call coke. An interesting note is that charcoal is made from wood in the same way that coke is made from coal. I was here looking at Coke Oven 22 when I wondered what it looked like when they were still in production. So I have a little bit of footage I want to share with you guys. People came from all over to work at Kay Moor. They had experienced miners from neighboring operations, blacks from the southeast, and even immigrants from Europe. At its peak, Kay Moor employed 800 workers, and they were paid roughly $30 a day, $19 in cash and the rest in company scrip, which could only be used at the company store. The workers also had various jobs. Most worked as miners, while some worked at the tipple or the machine shop behind me. Since 1883, West Virginia coal mines have claimed the lives of 23,000 miners. Some have died in individual accidents, but most have died in major mine disasters like explosions. Kay Moor never had an explosion and had a relatively low death toll, making it a safer place to work. Well, if you see behind me, we have 832 steps back up to the top, so we better get going. See you later.
Thanks, Mr. Lewis. Now, after all that exercise and hiking, it might be nice to sit down and relax with a nice book. Well, luckily for us, next up is Miss Kirkland, who's going to read a children's book, but with a twist. Let's check it out.
I can't wait for the cookies.
En español, Elena.
No puedo esperar por las galletitas.
Paciencia, Elena, paciencia. Oh, mira, Elena, tenemos visita. We have company. Ay, bienvenidos, welcome. Yo soy abuelita y esta es mi nieta, Elena. I am Grammy, and this is my granddaughter, Elena, and this is Lulu. Di cómo estás, Elena, to our new friends, nuevos amigos.
¿Cómo estás? That means, how are you? Join us. I love story time. My abuelita is trying to help me with my Spanish, so we read in English and Spanish. En inglés y español.
Follow along and do what Elena does. La llama, rojo pijama, lee un cuento aquí en la cama. Did you understand any of that?
I don't know. But I know aquí en la casa means here in the house. So aquí en la cama means here in the something. In the bed?
Yes.
Sigue leyendo, abuelita. Keep reading, Granny.
Un beso tierno le da mamá. Y muy despacio, mamá se va. Show me what un beso looks like.
Mwah!
Oh, very good. Sí, muchos besitos is what mamas love. And abuelitas too.
Mwah!
Ah, gracias. La llama, despierta está. Se siente sola sin su mamá. Quiere un poco de beber. Mamá tiene algo que hacer. What does llama want, Elena? Oh, Elena. Elena. Sí. The llama wanted something to drink, but mamá was busy.
Sorry.
La llama, rojo pijama. A su mamá llama y llama.
Why are there so many llamas? Is Bebe Llama saying llama llama?
That's a really good question, Elena. In Espanol, llama also means call. So Bebe Llama is calling for his mama.
And
Mamá dice, espera un poquito. Bebe Llama canta bajito. Elena, can you canta your favorite canción? What's your favorite canción? Do you want to sing along with Elena?
I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day. I wanna rock and roll all night.
Elena, where did you hear that?
YouTube?
La llama, rojo pijama, espera a mamá sentada en la cama.
Rojo means red and cama is bed. But what's sentada mean?
It means seated or sitting on the bed.
But where's Mama?
I don't know. Let's find out. Mamá se tarda en llegar. Bebé se empieza a inquietar.
What's inquietar? Sounds like something you play.
No, Elena. Inquietar. Say it. It means to worry. Inquietar.
Inquietar.
Did you say it? Let's go on. La llama, rojo pijama, gime bajito desde la cama. ¿Cómo gimes tú, Elena? ¿Y tú, bebé llama? ¿Cómo gimes? Do you sound like Elena? El teléfono suena. Mamá va a contestar. Entonces bebé llama. Empieza a lloriquear.
Okay, abuelita. I'll be patient and wait for the cookies and not wine.
La llama, rojo pijama, escucha atenta desde la cama. ¿Y ahora qué hace mamá? Bebé gime y hace búa. What just happened? Elena, what just happened? Escucha atenta, Elena. What did I just ask you to do?
Pay attention.
So?
Llama is whining and boo-hooing.
Correct, Elena. La llama, rojo pijama, grita bien alto desde la cama. Elena, can you show the bebé llama how to gritar bien alto like the llama? That's good. Bebé llama, patea y patalea, pega gritos, salta y brincotea. Bebé llama, do what Elena does, patalea y brincotea. What are you doing, Elena? Show and tell.
I'm kicking and jumping.
Yeah, it's good. La llama llama en la oscuridad, rojo pijama. Mamá no está, está arropada, no se ha dormido. ¿Será que acaso mamá se ha ido? What is Yama Yama worried about?
That his mama left him. Aido has left, but she hasn't, has she?
Let's find out. La llama llama, rojo pijama, llora y llora desde la cama. ¿Vendrá acaso su mamá? Mamá llama. Ven acá! He cries and cries, and then he cries out to Mama. What's ven acá?
Come here!
Sí, come here! Bebé llama, qué malcriada. A veces mamá está muy ocupada. Mamas are sometimes very busy. Is your mama busy, baby llama? Deja de gritar. Inmediatamente. Y por favor, sé más paciente. Repeat after me, Elena, and todos mis bebé llamas. Por favor, sé más paciente.
Por favor, sé más paciente.
Muy bien, very good.
What does sé más paciente mean?
Be more patient.
Oh.
¿Acaso no sabes, mi pequeña llama, cuánto mamá te ama?
Te ama. I know that. Wait, te amo means I love you.
Right? So it's saying how much she loves you.
Okay.
Mamá está contigo. Siempre será así. Aun si mamá no está junto a ti.
Mama is saying she'll always be there in his heart, even if she's not there.
That's right. La llama, rojo pijama, recibe besos de mamá llama. Qué suave almohada, qué rica cama.
Suave almohada? I have that. That means soft pillow. But almohada is such a mouthful.
Y al fin se duerme la llama. And then llama, rojo pijama.
In a hushed voice says, goes to sleep. That was a fun book, Abuelita. I really liked it.
Thanks, Miss Kirkland. All right, well, that wraps up everything for us here today on Education Station. We want to thank all of the teachers who submitted their awesome lessons, and we want to thank you for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Education Station.